we are arriving in Sanibel. My family used to take me here when I was 6, my sister was 9, and this was our go-to spot. We'd go fishing and shelling, and it was just one of those family vacation spots that meant so much to me. There's so much you can catch here, and you know, strategizing and finding the right gear and the right bait is something that really pays off when you're fishing in an area like this.
Bluefish. Grew up eating these. Ah, I think it's a snapper. Let me see. Snapper sandwich. Think you caught the biggest one today.
Being in Sanibel again, this place is near and dear to my heart, and getting to relive some of these adventures it's a dream. When I drive across the coast, I like to start off with a sunrise as kind of starting my adventure. And you know, you get an early start, you hit the road, and you just get to see a bunch of different sights along the way. And the cool thing about driving over to the West Coast in Florida is that you get to watch the sunset in the same day. So you can do sunrise and sunset in the same day, and it is one of the coolest things. So we are arriving in Sanibel. We're going across the Causeway Bridges. Sanibel is a really special place to me. I came here growing up with my family, and this was just one of those places that, you know, we get to go fishing and we get to explore the island, and we're gonna see what we can catch on the Sea-Doo. I met up with Mike Hammond, who is a local here, and he took me to a bunch of different sites. We stopped at Tarpon Bay, which is one of the spots where they say the first tarpon was caught. One of their employees, Gabby, she took the time to show us the creatures in the touch tank, which you may not be able to see in the murkier waters.
Tarpon Bay is about 1,000 acres of mangrove estuary where the native mangroves have helped to keep our island intact. It's actually a very big nursery for a lot of young animals to come to begin their life. We don't have too many large predators here, so it's a great place for fish to come and do spawning, lay eggs. The key part of what makes Sanibel so special is the fact that it is over 9,000 acres of areas of walking trails, the refuge, preserves, places where the land has been untouched.
So we're at Whitney's Bait and Tackle. This is one of the bait shops that I used to come when I was really little. You know, Whitney is still in there. He is an awesome resource. This was one of the first places that I actually learned how to tie a uni-to-uni knot, and just their staff in here is amazing. They also have charter captains that run out of here. So if you're looking for a charter in Sanibel, come to Whitney's. What pound fluoro would you recommend for tarpon?
40-50.
40-50,
Yeah,
okay,
40-50.
I got that. And would you do 7/0 or 8/0 or?
Seven's good. No,
Seven's
seven's
good.
good. Seven's
Okay.
good.
How long would you do your leader line?
8 feet, maybe.
8 feet?
Yeah.
Okay.
9 feet.
Okay.
Getting you dialed in?
Getting me dialed in. Bait stacking up
Yeah.
offshore, so.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I got a tip just a little while ago. As you go up past Cabbage Key, and before you get the hook on your left, they're up against the shoreline there on the
Okay.
edge of the coastal, and they were in there yesterday.
Okay.
So
I've learned so much since my first time of coming to Sanibel, and I owe it to a lot of people like Whitney who took the time to show me how to tie knots and to use different gear, different fluoro, because the water clarity is different here. I can now use the Sea-Doo and get to fish that offshore scene, which I never got to do before. And coming down here now, I am zoned in on what fish I want to target and how I'm going to target them. And having that Sea-Doo allows me to get to those places. It just opens up so many more possibilities for me fishing-wise. To end the day, I got to see a beautiful sunset. I went to one of my favorite spots. Again, one of those beaches that I grew up to going as a kid, sat on the jetty and got to watch the sun go down. And it was exactly what I wanted to be doing at that moment. This is a cool spot. This is one of my favorites. BA Fishing is brought to you by Sea-Doo, Railblaza, hold everything. Lead Lenser, power up. Body Glove, all things water. So we are at the bait box. I'm here with Kaya, who is Mike's daughter. And we're gonna get some bait. What are we gonna get, Kaya?
Shrimp.
Shrimp. Frozen shrimp, live shrimp. Looks like we're gonna get some live. So we're gonna go paddleboard fishing. First, we're doing our bait stop, then we're gonna get on the water. So I've known Mike for a couple years now, and on this trip, I got to meet his younger daughter, Kaya, and she is an avid paddler, kayaker, maybe future YouTuber. She really likes to teach about conservation.
Gonna be for you?
And the 3 dozen shrimp. Perfect. Watching Mike and Kaya together, it just really brought me back to my childhood and just those special moments that I had with my dad. And I just really value that bond that, you know, daughters have with their fathers. Throw something like this. That's a big one. Use those offshore. Even though it was a protected area, it was still blowing, and we were fighting the wind a little bit, but you learn to adapt to the environment and the conditions. 1 foot forward, 3 steps back. I'm acting as a sail right now with this wind. This isn't big, but it's a fish. And it is a snapper. A little mangrove snapper. Little teeth. Let's see if we'll open. Oh, I don't want to get my fingers too close. Woo. So snapper, when they chomp down, they don't let up. Ask me how I know. Getting any bites?
I have bites, but I don't have fish.
That tends to happen. Fish on?
Yeah.
Let's go.
I think it's a sheep's head or a snapper. I don't know.
Ooh, I think it's a snapper. Let me see. That's a good size one. Perfect. There we go. Nice fish.
I'm gonna let out the line because I'm drifting away.
Okay. Oh yeah, I'm not anchored. I think I'm the one drifting. It is legal. It is 10 and a half. All right. Ooh. There he goes. Nice job. I think you caught the biggest one today. 10 and a half. Mine was just 10. I got stuck. Woo! I'm not anchored at all though. It was a smaller one, but it was so much fun. Whenever you see that flash of silver in that line, it's just like, yes, I found one. I finally caught a snook for the day. Kaya's spot was an inshore spot, so you had the ability to catch snook, redfish, trout, and they're all hard-fighting fish.
Dad.
Hats off to Kaya, she did a great job. She caught the biggest mangrove snapper of the day, and we decided to let that one go too. She was just a joy to get out on the water with. So I finally got my shot at getting out on the water on the Sea-Doo. I was trying to get offshore and look for some bait, so I was looking for birds, and any birds that were working the water, working those areas, I was riding up super fast, trying to drop a sabiki down and catch some bait for the day. Right now I'm tying on my sabiki. I'm using a size 10, and that has a 10-pound for the actual hooks and a 15-pound line, main line. I still get them bit off here. So right now I'm just switching out my sabiki so that I have the most amount of hooks available when I drop it into that bait ball instead of only having a couple of them. And they'll get you. Screen is lit up right now for bait. There we go. The offshore fishery, you know, there's grouper, there's mackerel, there's Spanish mackerel, there's tarpon, flounder even. That was something with my dad. I was always like, Dad, there's flounder here. And he's like, no, there's not. And then we'd get us flounder. There's so much you can catch here, and you know, strategizing and finding the right gear and the right bait is something that really pays off when you're fishing an area like this.
Oh, wait. Oh, that's one of those trout. All right, y'all. Got a nice sea trout. You can't keep him here, so I'm gonna get him released. But I saw my bait busting up at the top. Get this guy released. Gone. Nice trout.
Most of the day was spent looking for tarpon, and it was hard when they could be there, but they may not be chewing.
Yeah, it's been a day, a long day on the water, and no tarpon. Still makes you want to come back though. They're here. They're just not chewing.
Tony. Nice to meet you.
I'm Bree. Mike took us to JN Ding Darling, which is a national wildlife refuge, and we met up with one of the rangers there, Tony Westland, and she just drove us all around the refuge.
Welcome to the JN Ding Darling National Wildlife Refuge. It is awesome because Ding Darling is 6,400 acres and home to so much. It's known for its mangrove estuary, the nursery of the sea, but it's all protected for wildlife first, but then we get to come and enjoy. You can hike down the trail, go bird watching, fishing, kayaking, stand-up paddleboarding. There's something for everyone.
She showed us the importance of the mangrove when it comes to hurricanes and protecting our shorelines. And the different kinds, some had salt on the leaves because they process the salt differently.
Like this, you can see it's not in the water. That's the black mangrove. Snook and grouper and redfish, it all gets its start here. 70% of the seafood you eat gets its starts in estuaries. These are the trees that protect us. They provide habitat for the birds, but then the big thing is the fish food, all of the little fish that start. So once in a while, if you look over, you're gonna see baby fish. You know, these aren't, other people are like, oh, tadpoles. No, those are baby grouper, redfish, snapper.
We got to see where the birds were nesting, and we were looking for that alligator. There's a large alligator. We saw the tail slide, but we didn't get to see him that day, but he's out there.
So this is the Calusa Shell Mound Trail, and the Calusa Indians were our first peoples in this area, and they relied on the resource, much like you're going to when you get out to catch that tarpon. They're one of the only Native American groups that didn't rely on agriculture. They were hunters and gatherers. They had small crops that were just with their homes, but for the most part, they were fishermen. Then the Spanish came in, and European influence, disease, they pushed them out, and eventually the Calusa disappeared. But what an amazing culture that was here. The people that used the resources long ago, just like we use them.
All along the way, she emphasized how important education was. So they have school groups come through, and they always make sure that every chance that they get to educate, they do. So I'm launching from Castaways right now. It's early morning, it's a little bit chilly, but I'm planning to do some sea-doo fishing today. Gonna take this guy offshore, and we're gonna see if we can find any fish. Goals, I'd love to catch a tarpon, but first I want to try to find bait. So I have some sabikis ready, and I'm just gonna see if I can see any bait busting at the top. But fingers crossed, we'll find some fish today. It was blowing. As soon as I got out on the water, when I was oceanside, I was protected by the land, but a lot of the spots that we fished, it was blowing. There was just no way to avoid it. It's not unbearable though. Just be rocking a little bit today.
They're usually from Knapp's Point to there, but with the wind the way it is, they're gonna be all jacked up.
So, are there gonna be pelicans and stuff working the bait?
There usually is. I don't think these are threadies. They're
Little pilchards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll see. I mean, it would be acres of them when you come across them. You'll see it.
Okay. So as soon as I got out there, I was trying to find bait. I was looking for the bait clouds on my Garmin, and I was looking for birds. I was trying to see if they were working certain areas, and as soon as I saw one dive down, I was speeding up on the sea-doo and dropping down a sabiki. So I found a variety of baits, pinfish, threadfins, pilchard. I was trying to find those threadfins as much as I could because I know they're a good bait to target those tarpon, snook. So that's what I was going for. I caught sea trout, and it's one of those beautiful silver fish with a bunch of spots on it. They're really fun to catch. So I caught that one and released it, and then all of a sudden my bait got hit and I watched it eat. I was like, what in the world was that? I saw silver. I knew it wasn't a tarpon because it wasn't breaching. But I brought it in, and it was a bluefish.
Bluefish. Grew up eating these. Some people in Florida frown upon it because they have nicer fish. But if you bleed these guys, they taste just as good. So we're gonna bleed this guy, have him for dinner. Dad would be proud.
That lazy flamingo, cook your catch, was definitely in the back of my mind. So I put it on ice, and once I got back to Castaways Marina, I cleaned the fish and walked right over to Lazy Flamingo. The ride back was hard. That wind was just picking up, and you know, it's fishing. You have to look at the silver lining of I caught dinner. And that was one thing when I got back to the dock and finally out of the wind that I was excited about. I'm like, all right, I have a lot to be grateful for. I had a beautiful day, got to see sunrise on the water, got out there, got to, you know, just take off offshore. It was almost like I was flying at times, and you know, I found the bait and I found a few fish, and just because it wasn't the one that I wanted for the day, that's fishing, you know. That's why they call it fishing, not catching. That's what my dad used to always say. Docked the Sea-Doo at the marina and cleaned the fish, got over to Lazy Flamingos, and they were so kind. They asked, you know, how do you want it? Blackened, grilled, fried, and I love that fried fish. It was the perfect meal to regroup for the next day, and the fish was amazing.
There we go. And onion rings. This is great. It's moist, it's flaky. Tastes really good with lemon on it. Fried bluefish.
Being in Sanibel again was really special. This place is near and dear to my heart, just with all the memories that I have with my family. And getting to relive some of these adventures it's a dream.